Back for a second round of looking at cars for the replacement of the 720. The range of cars I'm looking at is crazy. There are so many cars to look at. Expensive ones, cheaper ones. I really don't have a plan quite put together yet, or I didn't. I'm really starting to narrow down what it is I want and why I want it. So we got 4 cars today. First up, we have a Ferrari Roma. I knew nothing about these cars, and I wanted to take a look at them. The styling intrigued me. It's not normally my aggressive style that I like. It is really cool. I decided we're gonna look at that one first. It was roomy, for sure. It had a lot of room, and the technology inside was actually really, really nice. So the styling, the room, and the interior being updated and kind of unique was really cool. It reminded me of a California. The sound wasn't spectacular and not really being for me. Nothing against it. It was just not the style or aggressive look that I'm leaning towards right now. Next up was the GT3 RS, and the one I looked at didn't have the big wing, which was a kind of unique feature, and this one had green accent interior, including seatbelts. That was a really cool, different thing that I wasn't expecting, as well as like all the carbon fiber inside. I didn't realize how much carbon fiber it would have. The seats were not for me. They reminded me too much of the Senna seats, but other than that, and the sound not being really the sound of cars I like, it was a really nice car, and it really woke me up to how nice Porsche is, and the fact that maybe I should be considering Porsche a little more. So the next car I went and took a look at was a GT3 with a manual transmission, and that really excited me. This one was a little bit newer. I think it was a 2019. And I say that because the value was at the tippity top of my budget, which means upgrades would not happen. This one had some upgrades done, like an exhaust and a couple of body pieces. And the interior was spectacular. I loved the red gauges and the red stitching, and it had 3 pedals, which that was so cool. But ultimately, I decided again, because it's at the tippity top of my budget, I didn't want a car that I just buy and drive, because when I do compare the cars for ones in that budget, I would rather have the 720 so far over everything I've touched that's at the top of my budget. The only way it's going to make a move is if it was something lower price-wise, to where I had the opportunity to upgrade it and do some new cool things to it and get back to what I used to do to cars, and that's play around in the lower dollar amount supercars and have the wonderful opportunity of doing the exhaust and the body pieces and just kind of making it more mine. After looking at these 2 Porsches, I really decided that's where I was going to head. But there was one more before I made that decision that I needed to look at that was at the top of the budget. It didn't do it for me. Then I was going to focus on the lower dollared ones compared to the top of the budget. And that last one that I looked at was the Ferrari F12. And I think, personally, the F12 is the best looking Ferrari made. I like it better than the 812, but it's just a few little personal preferences. It's such a good looking car, and it sounds amazing. It might be my favorite sounding car. I was surprised it was a little bit smaller inside than I expected with the size of the outside of the car. And unfortunately, I don't fit. There's a part of the car that goes right where, if I sit upright, hits the back of my head. So I either have to give up a lot, like inches of leg room, to be able to like sit in the seat properly, or I have to do a hunch forward, which is so uncomfortable that I didn't even start this one because it killed it for me. I'm not going to sit in a car like that at that price range and be uncomfortable anymore. So that ruled out not only the F12, the 812, the FF, and the GTC4 Lusso. It basically killed the last shot I had at anything that was going to be at the top of my budget. So now I'm focusing lower, so the list got smaller. There are a few left. I've got one more episode coming up next where I go through all the ones that were on my list that are in that lower budget. Then I make a decision. Full disclosure, I did go look at all those cars. I have made a decision, and I am staring at the replacement. So next week you will get to see what I picked, and then 2 weeks full reveal video where I give you my first impressions, likes, dislikes, all that. And by then I'll have had some upgrades lined up and time frames on those. So I'm super excited to share these next steps with you. So stay tuned hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you see those and get them as soon as possible. Also check out my shorts because there'll probably be some sneak peeks in there because I'm super excited for this and I'll probably share them early. So see you on the next one.